How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. We are reacting to Marvel's Ant-Man. I don't know. I'm so used to saying Marvel's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're reacting to Ant-Man. What do I know about this movie? Jack shit. I don't even know if he gets big and small, or if he's just small, or if it's something unrelated. No, I mean, no, I know that he gets small at least. I was gonna say, like, maybe it's something I haven't even thought about. No. I do know that he at least gets small, but I don't know if it's small and big or anything like that. Don't know what his name is, don't know what he looks like, don't know anything fucking about this movie. I had a whole conversation with my fiance about, like, it can't be, if it's something like, oh yeah, his abilities to shrink, then how do you just not just keep shrinking farther and farther? If it's, shrinking and being able to grow back to normal size, shouldn't he be able to grow to any size? Like, for a comic, I could go with it. For a comic, if Ant-Man's powers where he could shrink and then grow back to normal size, sure, you could go with it. But for the MCU, if that is what it is, I'm going to be very curious as to how they're going to try and make that seem realistic. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Don't have any predictions. No idea what the fuck I'm getting into. Let's watch this. It's going to be so weird because it's going to be like Captain America, where I realized I didn't know Captain America's name, so I wasn't sure who the main character was supposed to be for a bit there. I wonder if it's going to be a similar thing here, or if I'm going to catch on immediately. By the way, there's no highlighted reaction for this. I don't do highlighted reactions for the movies. You can just check out the full-length reaction in the description. There's no syncing up required. Just check it out. I do that. Too lazy to edit them. Just check that out. How's it going, everybody? I am Donut, and I am here with my fiance, Thermite Kitty.
Hell yeah.
He's also got a channel. You can check it out in the description below. We are discussing Ant-Man, as always. Now that I've had some time for this to compress, I do think I would rank this the highest among all of the MCU movies. It's ranking higher than Avengers. It's ranking higher than Iron Man 3. It's ranking higher than Incredible Hulk for me. I like it in the exact same way that I like Incredible Hulk, though.
Okay.
Everything I like, well, not exactly, not everything, but like I do think that a lot of what I like about it is what I like about the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
And I can't explain what I really mean. I think it's maybe is there's a lot of these scientists and very high positiony people, but then the main character is just someone who kind of got wrapped up in it.
Okay.
As opposed to someone like Tony, who is very involved with it, or Thor is a god, or,
sure.
There's someone who just, like, really accidentally... Most of the Avengers, I wouldn't say, are accidents,
Right.
They're pretty purposeful. So, yeah, I like the ones that actually, are accidents. Those usually tend to be the random TV show guys.
Right.
Or villains. But yeah, I think just that main part of it is what I like about both movies. Okay. How did you feel about this movie when it first came out? How do you feel about it now?
I was, like, when it came out, I was very mixed about it. It had a long, weird production history, which I guess I'll go into this right now, because I can't talk about it without saying that pre-production, like, the first draft was written in 2003.
Jesus, whoa!
It was written by Edgar Wright in 2003, and he was like, he didn't get the job immediately, but he was like, I noticed you're doing a lot of Marvel movies. You're doing Blade, you're doing Spider-Man. I've got a cool idea for Ant-Man.
Okay.
And they had not been able to do an Ant-Man movie, like, ever, because when they first tried it, it was in the 1980s, which is when I Shrunk the Kids came out.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is gonna be too similar. It's just a superhero version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's
basically.
Stupid.
It's also such a silly... Like, Ant-Man would not have worked, I think, pre-Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like, Guardians of the Galaxy really busted open the comic book hole.
Yeah.
Be like, we can make these comic booky now.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while, but, yeah. So, I can't believe... So, wait, was it, like, originally being written not as a part of the MCU?
Yeah, it was written to be a standalone, and then by 2006, it was written to be part of Phase 1.
Okay, was it meant to be the first one, or was it just meant to be a part of Phase 1?
It was meant to just be a part of Phase 1. Like, Phase 1 was also not fully meant to be, like, it wasn't all meant to lead up to the Avengers, like, starting with Iron Man. Iron Man was kind of, like, at the very end, they put out the thing, like, if it didn't work out, they would just say, yeah, you know what, that was just a funny little after credit scene. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
So... they meant for Ant-Man to go into Phase 1, and then they just did not manage to make it work, which was a big deal, because Ant-Man, in the comics, very important to the Avengers. He's a founding Avenger.
Okay. Surprising. Never heard of him before the movie.
Mm-hmm. Like, ultra importance. He is I wouldn't say the main character when it comes to Ultron, but I would. He is the most important character connected to Ultron.
Okay, wow.
So, like, he was super fundamental, and when they skipped him there, they were like, okay, the movie's still happening. We also can't reference him, though, because Edgar Wright asked Marvel Studios not to mention Hank Pym or his wife, because he wanted to do his movie first. Like, I'll do the movie, I'll set up what my version of Ant-Man is, and then you guys can run from there. Please don't, like, drop hints or anything.
Okay.
So they couldn't even do the Avengers thing of, like, there's a secret scientist working for us or something.
That's kind of lame, actually.
Yeah. They ended up pushing it to, I believe Kevin Feige said that he was going to push it to the end of the start of Phase 3. Like, from Phase 1, when they said, like, okay, we can't do it, but we're doing phases, it's going to be the first film, Phase 3.
Okay.
And then
it wasn't.
Around the time that they got rid of Edgar Wright, which was, I want to say, like, 10 years in, like, starting the clock at when he sent in the first scripts.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty close to when the film was already in pre-production by the time he left. So, At that point, they were like, it doesn't thematically work to be the start of Phase 3. Like, we want to do something specific with Phase 2, we want to do something specific with Phase 3, and things are moving along, so if we move them right now, we can make this the last film of Phase 2. And that's why it's the last film of Phase 2.
It does feel weird having it be the last film of Phase 2.
Yeah, like, it was a floater. It could have ended up anywhere.
Yeah, I can tell it. And, like, that makes sense as to why it feels very, weird in terms of, like, the time. Like, nothing about what they say, but just about the general, like, tone of the place doesn't really feel, I don't know, it feels very early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the gang and just, like, the kind of... It felt like a very early 2000s movie. So, I don't think they were able to shake that. But I am amazed at how it came together in the end for how long it was in production.
Yeah.
Like, if you told me Iron Man 2 was in production for, like, forever, I would be like, alright, yeah, there's some things in Iron Man 2 where it's like, weird. But, not like plot holes or anything, but just like, yeah, I could see that was in production for a while or something. Yeah. Some other movies, I would believe that. But yeah, this one came together so, nothing felt, like, weird about it. There's no, like, scene where it felt like, well, that might have been, like, an artifact from an old version of it that they just kept in.
Yeah. So, I guess what I'd say is, I went into the movie very worried and kind of expecting it to not be great, but when I saw the movie, I loved it. It's just a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I went into this one with no expectations. Like, Captain America, I at least knew who he was. But this one, I didn't know shit about Ant-Man. I didn't know who the main character was. I didn't know anything, so I went into it with literally zero expectations for anything.
Which, much like Guardians, the promotion for Ant-Man was very similar in the sense of, like, no one knows who this is, so we're going to do a lot of, like, the very first trailer was uploaded super tiny.
Yeah, I know about a lot of
the tiny poster.
All the stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that advertisement.
A lot of it was just like, guys, there's a tiny hero, and he's in the MCU.
Yeah, that's all I do. But yeah, so, speaking of which, yeah, going in, I was like, I don't know how they're going to possibly explain this in universe for why he wouldn't just get big. Like, how, in a comic book thing, I could understand them not explaining it.
Right.
But in the MCU, how are they going to explain the fact that he doesn't just get big or something? And also, this camera is a shit angle. Let's move it over here. But yeah, I mean, it's because I'm going to, like, turn to you over here. I'm going to try and face forward. I gotta just face forward.
Yeah, just look at me on the screen.
That's so bad.
I'll look at you at the screen.
Yeah, let me move this over here.
Okay.
What were we saying?
What
was I talking about?
I don't fully remember.
Oh, well, screw it.
Eyebrow scar on the forum. I guess as we're talking about production stuff. Yeah. She wanted to ask you just about the whole Edgar Wright-ness of it. Like, does it still feel like an Edgar Wright movie?
As I said, I think the, like, swipe cuts feel like an Edgar Wright. Like, I don't know a better word for it other than the swipe transitions. That feels very, very Edgar Wright. It's not something that's like, I would look and go, oh, that's Edgar Wright. But once I know, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was still like a thing left over. It feels like. Other than that, other than just like the characters feeling like actual characters, I assume they were just like, well, since they're already fleshed out characters, let's just keep them that way instead of making them caricatures, like a lot of the other like tertiary cast specifically.
Yeah,
like I'm talking about like the gang that Scott had.
Right.
They're tertiary characters, but they still got plenty of characters. They each got to have their own moment, and yeah. I mean, well, I don't have much to say about them, so I'll just say everything I have to say about them now. That they're one of my favorite parts about the movie. I'm just so glad that we got a tertiary cast that got so much focus. I'm not used to that in a movie, period. Okay. Which is also just why I like Edgar Wright films in general. A lot of times, the whole cast has bits of moments. They're memorable in some certain ways. But yeah, all of them risking their life or their freedom, like going to jail for this mission that really they had no stake in at all, and they barely understood what the hell was going on. That was fantastic. With what was the foreign guy's name? I just wrote it down as the cool guy.
I mean, the name I wrote the most is Luis, and I see you've written the others down as Whitewash Jones and the cool guy. So, okay,
I wasn't gonna admit that I wrote him down as Whitewash Jones. That was an inside joke for me only. If anybody, I mean, if you're on the Discord and you're in the comics channel, you know what Whitewash Jones is about. The Golden Age. Whew, boy, that was some... But he stole the cop car, and then stole it, and then came back and got back in the car. The cool guy. The foreign guy, resisting arrest in order to hit that button, which I want to thank God he did. That was the most important thing out of all of them. But like the fact that he actually resisted arrest and everything, because nobody here has any pull, really. Right. Like, I don't know how the fuck they're gonna get out of this unless they're just gonna break them out of jail too. Like, I don't know how they're not gonna go to jail. I guess Paxton, was that his name? The stepdad?
Yeah.
He would probably get him out of it, I assume. In the same way that he got Scott out of it. But that's a little bit different because that was the footage. There was no footage, and even that was a bit of a stretch. That was me going, all right, it's a movie, okay.
Hank has money. You can hire lawyers.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, and then Luis going back for the guard, and just, to make sure that nobody in that building died. I said it reflexively, and that was my favorite scene in the movie to you, and you were very incredulous that I said that. The more I think about it, that's my favorite scene in the movie.
Okay.
It is. There's no other scene in the movie that I like more than Luis stopping to save that man.
Okay.
Because as I've said a million times, my favorite stuff in any of the movies or TV shows in general is just the saving people scenes. All the rescuing scenes, the saving people scenes, I love. So the fact that it is this random dude who is just here he doesn't even really know why he's here. Like, he barely knows what he's doing. Yeah. And he's still making sure that all these people don't die. These because one, they're not bad. They didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
But even if they did, I imagine he would do the same. Also, Luis, just a cool character that he got so much characterization throughout the whole movie. Like, he's so, like, he's very ghetto, but then also loves art. Like, he knows a lot about art. He's actually, like, I do hope that he could stick around in the series, because he has this thing going on now, and I did go back and check, because he, at the beginning of the movie, says he's the only guy in the prison who was able to knock out that black dude who was beating up on Scott. That makes it sound like, when they're doing the whole leaving initiation. I guess it's tradition.
It's less of an initiation, more of an outization.
Alcination. But yeah, so he has this thing where he could just knock someone out in one punch. I was laughing about it in the movie, but then I realized, like, no, that is like a thing he can do. It's not like a superpower or anything. It's just like a gag. But I like that it's very consistent. And they did set it up at the beginning. He can knock out anybody with one punch. He is One Punch Man.
Aw, yeah. I do want to say, like, right now, since we're kind of exiting the whole meta talk,
Yeah.
I want to state that, like, most of the film is what Edgar Wright wanted to do. Like, a lot of it was already, like, not shots, but, like, the rights and stuff. Like, it was rewritten a whole bunch. But, like, the actors were all cast. The main things that are different are Janet, like Hank's wife, not in the movie at all. Or was not meant to be in the movie at all.
Okay.
Everything involving the quantum realm is, like, completely added.
Okay.
So, like, you know, the climax and everything.
I can understand that. Honestly, if I would have, the only thing I would change about this movie is get rid of the quantum realm.
Okay.
I don't think that was needed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just the way it went. We've talked about this. I don't understand how he's going small enough to go through the molecules, and then is again then bigger enough to chop through the karate chop through the suit.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's. As we said, it might be a thing where it's supposed to be him going small enough to go through the molecules and then quickly going big again, but after that point, the suit just slowly makes you smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
But that's not supposed to be how it works. That's not how they say it works.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I get it. The quantum realm thing, kind of weird. Definitely setting up for future stuff, obviously. Janet ain't dead. She's coming back. No shit. But... yeah, I would have at least done it differently. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I can
like,
understand this.
Because I was just gonna say, like, I guess you should just like not have Scott go and like when she did it with the rocket, I was like, how the hell did she do that? But whatever, I'll buy it. With Scott, you see him do it,
right?
And it's like that's how'd he get that big again? So, if they didn't have Scott do it, but I assume there's gonna be a big thing of. Hank trying to go into the dimension to get Janet back himself, so why would he try and do that if Scott didn't go and was able to come back and everything? Right. I mean, and it's also just some big thing to show, like, oh yeah, and Scott was even better than Janet. Janet was a loser. She couldn't come back. She didn't understand. She was stupid. She didn't count the medals 1, 2, 3 and swap them out. Nobody's gonna. It's gonna be like 2 people watching this to understand that reference.
Yeah. Everything involving the Falcon was also added in.
Obviously, yeah.
And
I imagine they didn't have a scene planned with the Falcon in 2003.
And most importantly, Luis's long stories were all added in. That wasn't a quirk of his in the original.
His like, okay.
Yeah, like when he does the big ramble.
Really? Because I've actually meant to say, other than the swipe cuts, that's what I thought was very Edgar Wright about it.
Okay.
Was the dialogue happening over quick cuts. That is quintessential Edgar Wright.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm very surprised that was not him.
Yeah, like, that was the actor who actually chose to do that. Or, like, rather, he came up with the idea and they were like, yeah, sure. Like, we can fit this in.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, Hope was not really a character. Like, she was around, she existed, but she wasn't, like, she didn't have any focus.
Okay.
So, like, the fact that she fought and everything, and that she could control the ants really well, all of that was added in.
Okay, so I'm glad that all the compliments I gave him about the characters mattering was bullshit.
All the other characters, though, were set up.
Oh, I'm so glad Edgar Wright gave cool guys so much focus. No, so I guess just props to whoever was the new writer for this more than Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I think he did a better job. Sorry, Edgar Wright. I love you, but I mean, I do understand why it would, they couldn't do it because he didn't want to fully in line. What was it that he wanted to have his own directing style like he always does? And
basically, he wanted to do an MCU movie, but the MCU did not want an Edgar Wright movie, is the way he put it.
Okay, I see.
Like, he was willing to bend things, and, like, he was willing to conform a little, but he wasn't willing to, not make an Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah. And I do think if this was just straight up an Edgar Wright movie, it would be really fucking weird. Like, I don't think I would like it, actually, just because it's a part of the MCU. I think it would be great as an Edgar Wright movie, but as an MCU movie, it would be bad. Be very bad. And I think that's the vast majority of the reason why most people don't like Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. It's just like, I still think it has a lot of MCU-ness to it, but it is very, very different. I mean, there's almost no comedy in it at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I get that, which is it says a lot for me still liking it that highly.
It honestly does. Like, it's been so long since you've seen Incredible Hulk, and sometimes I still I can't believe you like Incredible Hulk. Wow.
I still think about it all the time.
I'm really happy about it.
I love it. But yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about the Edgar Wright there. We're done with the whole Edgar Wright segment. Any other things that we want to say there?
I think that's all pretty fine. Yeah.
Okay. We're good then.
Yeah.
Okay, where else should we move on to?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked about it for a second there, but Ant-Man just feeling very Kamen Rider inspired, or just like, I say Kamen Rider, but I guess what I do mean is Japanese superhero inspired.
Yeah. Because, again, I will say that they were never specifically influenced by Kamen Rider, but Edgar Wright did say that, like, when designing him and when coming up with, like, the fight scenes and stuff, they were very influenced by Ultraman and a Chinese movie called The Super Inframan.
Okay.
Which is a super deep cut. It was a Shaw Brothers movie, so, like, a lot of cinema people have seen it.
Okay.
So, yeah, like, there is, like, legitimate Toku influence in there, and I think it still shows.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I'm surprised that, like, so his comic version, does his comic costume look anything like that?
Yeah, like, it's not exactly the same, but, like, they did pull a lot of comic stuff there.
Okay. So is his comic version not, like, very Toku-inspired at all?
Not really. Like, in later years, more so. Like, once Power Rangers came out.
Okay, but originally it was not.
Yeah, not really.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think this, like, the belt especially, with the regulator, like, that's what I was joking about. It's so Kamen Rider, like, feeling to me with the bug thing specifically.
Yeah.
Like, more so than even other Toku shows, specifically the bug man aesthetic.
Yeah.
What else do I have here? Where do I want to jump around to?
Like, did you like Scott as a character?
Yeah, I was gonna go over that later, but I guess we could just jump into that now. I was trying to go over more, ancillary things right now, but, sure, let's jump into Scott as a character. Boy, I mean, it's hard to talk about Scott or any of the characters very separately.
Okay.
Because, like, Scott and Hank are two incredibly similar characters that are parallel throughout the whole thing with Hope and his daughter and all that.
Right.
And I'm actually curious. I really want to know how you feel about Scott and his relationship with his daughter. Like, I'm curious about how someone else... I feel like I gave most of my thoughts in the movie, so I want to jump off of what you say about it.
Sure. I thought it was really... I thought it was cool. Like, it felt like it could be cheesy, but it wasn't. I really got that Ernest, like, he is just a guy who wants to, like, he's done all the heist movies already. Now he's in the phase where he just wants to be a good dad. And the world doesn't really let him do that.
Okay, see, I would disagree.
Okay.
Like, I actually really like Scott as a character, because I do think that they are trying to classify him as a guy who thinks he's... I don't know, though, because the daughter weirds me out.
Okay.
Just the daughter being so, like, oh, I love Scott so it feels very forced to me.
Okay.
Also, his daughter's just a piece of shit, garbage girl, such an asshole to her stepdad for no reason. Yeah, his whole, like, specifically the thing of them saying well, as long as you get a job and do all this stuff and blah blah blah.
Right.
It was after he got fired from Baskin Robbins that he went to them, had that talk, and then went back and just immediately did the job.
Right.
So, like, he wasn't even saying, like, get money or something.
Yeah.
He was saying get a job. So, like, nothing that he was doing there was helping him in any way. He was doing what he wanted to do. He can say, oh, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm just trying to be with my daughter, blah, blah, blah. But he's just saying that. At the end of the day, he wants to do the heist. He likes doing the heists. Blah, blah, blah. But I do like that about him. I mean, it's good that he is a flawed character in that way. I don't know if the movie's trying to do that or not because of the daughter. But yeah, I like him for that, for being not a good dad. Like,
Right.
I don't think that he is a good dad at all.
Okay.
I don't think he's like the worst dad ever or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I don't think he's a good dad. No.
Okay.
And I don't think he. I think he thinks he's trying to be a good dad, but I don't think he's trying to be a good dad.
I'd say that, like, he's in the prison problem of he has a very specific set of skills that he's really, really good at, and before he meets Hank, he can't find a way to use them in a way that works. And when he tries to go legit and get a job that just isn't anything to do with his previous talents, he eventually gets found out and he gets fired.
Yeah.
Like, it's a constant stigma.
Yes, I mean, there's the whole stigma thing with that whole scene was, something in of itself with the boss. That's
Yeah.
a whole other conversation.
Incidentally,
Yeah.
they didn't want to do Baskin-Robbins at first. They wanted to do, they chose a bunch of different places, but no one really liked that role in the story of, we're a piece of garbage, and the main character, gets fired from us.
Yeah.
And that's a joke. But Baskin-Robbins accepted, and the crew was like, well, of course, because everyone loves Baskin-Robbins. Even if we make
Nobody hates Baskin-Robbins.
Even if we make Baskin-Robbins the bad guy here, everyone knows, no, it's just, they are the superheroes. They're the good guys who just have to do what needs to be done. And Baskin-Robbins always finds out.
It is. You say that, and you're right. I didn't think this evil corporation. Well, it's Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
I immediately put it on the guy instead of the corporation.
Exactly.
Which is a good thing because that is what they want you to do.
Yeah.
You do want to. You're supposed to be hating the guy, not the corporation in general, in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
The prejudice against the people who've been out of jail and everything that is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then there's also another thing of just going from you need to get a job to immediately doing the heist. Like, he didn't even try it. He didn't even do a thing of, oh, maybe I won't do the heist. He immediately went there and was like, all right, let's do the fucking heist. I don't. He never really seems to, feel like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this heist. Like,
Right.
He's just very happy to heist the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I will say, regarding Hank and Scott's, or not Scott, what am I thinking of? Is his name Scott?
Who?
The
The main character? Yes.
Okay. You said so many times that my brain got all fuzzy. Like, what is this?
But yes.
So, Edgar Wright's original version was always going to feature the two of them. And one of the big reasons why people thought an Ant-Man movie wasn't going to work is because Hank Pym is a complex character. The biggest thing being, of course, that everyone knows him for beating his wife.
Okay.
Like, pre-Ant-Man the movie, if you just kind of walked up to, 100 people on the street and you said, do you know do you know Marvel at all? And then, do you know who Hank Pym is? Most people would say, oh, he's that guy who beats his wife. Or, isn't he evil? But people like him, but he's evil, right? He beats his wife, right? There are news articles coming out for the movie that were just like, is it okay that Ant-Man beats his wife?
Honestly, that sounds a lot like a comedian.
Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to like the comedian.
Are you not?
No.
Okay, then.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I'm not saying I like the comedian,
Right.
but I think he's supposed to be an interesting character that you can...
I mean, he's supposed to be interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's supposed to be a complex character in the way that he's not supposed to be entirely evil,
Right.
So I was thinking it was the same way, but I guess not. Now you're acting like I'm crazy for saying that the comedian was in the same way.
I mean, I guess I would say that, they're different characters, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And they are similar in that respect. They're both very flawed characters that have a lot going on.
He's the comedian in Watchmen is presented as the bad guy, but he's not really the bad guy.
Right.
He's just, he was arguably a good guy. In a sense. A fucked up good guy, but in a sense.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the fuck Hank Pym was like in the comics.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I'm talking about this.
But, no, I think you're right in that respect. He's someone that a lot of people boil down to very simplistic, he bad.
What I'm trying to say is something like that, and since we're talking about the comedian, the same actor, something like Negan in The Walking Dead is a villain that everybody loves, but there's not but he could kind of be a good guy sort of stance that you could have. you know, even someone like Walt from Breaking Bad is like, you know, they're pretty fucking. There's people who take their side.
Right.
It's one of those characters, as opposed
Yeah.
to a character that, you know, a lot of people like just because they're very charismatic, not because they could be right or they have some sort of semblance of some reason they're doing the thing they're doing.
Right.
Well, that was a weird way to put it. That they have some semblance of reason, you know, some semblance of a good reason.
Yeah.
But either way, yes.
So, original script was going to be like 50% or 30% Hank Pym, and then like 70% like passing the torch on.
Okay.
So like we're going to have a whole like prologue where it's just Hank and maybe his wife, probably not his wife, just doing stuff and being Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, you just said his wife wasn't in it, so definitely not his wife.
Definitely not his wife.
So was he supposed to die in the original version?
No, he was going to be a mentor, like in this version.
Okay.
It's just they really made it like 95 to 5 in terms of who gets to be Ant-Man. Like Hank gets to be Ant-Man basically in the scene where his wife, you know, goes into the quantum realm. That's about it.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine, and like, you know, they played around with it. They made sure that Scott was an interesting, morally complex main character. Hank is still an asshole. He's more of an I love my wife asshole than I beat my wife asshole.
Yeah, like I'm glad knowing that's how he was in the comics, because the whole I hate the shit so much with the you know, oh, I couldn't tell you about blah 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 because I was doing it to protect you. I mean, if people have seen my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reactions with Coulson's girlfriend, I had a bad reaction to that too.
Okay.
I'm never a fan of that sort of thing here. I saw it coming a mile away, I predicted a mile away. I mean, I didn't have a bad reaction to it or anything like that, but it's just not something it's something I just generally do not like.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like that is going to hopefully be a part of his character. That was supposed to be a shitty thing to do.
Yeah. And it was written with the idea of, like, you know, some people are going to go into this thinking he's a garbage monster.
Yeah.
So, but even for the average person, they should still know, like, he's like the most abrasive parts of Tony.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say that.
I don't know if that comes across in the movie at all. I know.
Really?
I mean, I would have known. I would have never gotten that in 1,000 years. Like, when he said to Darren, what I see in you is, like, what I saw in you was me, but too much of me.
Right.
I was like, okay, that is interesting, because we haven't really seen much of Hank at all that is bad.
Right.
Like, he seems to be one of the best people in the entire MCU, I would say.
Okay.
In terms of, like, good they do and want to do and are a good person. Like, the only thing that he has done across everything I've seen him do is, I would say, not telling Hope that her mother died in the way that she did. You know, I think that's the only shitty thing he's done.
I mean, maybe the start of the movie when he's like, you guys don't get to get the Pym particles, the most important particles in humanity's existence. I'm keeping them all. I'm going home.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% for him. I cannot believe. Let's see. Oh no, I'm not sorry. This is a whole thing between me and the audience, where the whole audience is on your side, and I'm always on the other side of this. I am fully on Hank's side. When they were showing the Yellow Jacket thing, I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. Like, that's nightmare. That's worse than Ultron. Fucking terrifying. But I mean, yeah, the fact that I guess this is a good place to talk about it too. Like, the look on Peggy's face when she finds out about the fucking Pym particle that Howard was that he swiped from Hank. Like, god damn. Because after everything she's gone through, and Agent Carter trying to prove Howard's innocence, and Howard being like the only one who she thought gave a shit about her, even though I knew back then, I'm like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, clearly he doesn't give a shit about you. And that's the tragic thing, is that she's at the end of season 1 being like, oh, and Howard's one of the only people who actually, you know, believed in me before. Now a lot of the SSR does, and it's like, oh, but the tragic thing is that now the SSR actually believes in you way more than Howard does. Howard doesn't even believe in you.
Right.
He's always just going to be using you. And the same thing here. Like, you could see it on her face. That was such a backstab feeling of betrayal. It's like 80 years old, trusting him all this time. ugh, Howard is such a piece of shit. I mean, I love him. There's a big difference between Howard being such a piece of shit and a very fascinating character, and Fury being a very big piece of shit, and I don't really think he's that interesting at all.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like every time I have to say a character's a piece of shit, that I have to constantly clarify, by the way, I still like them as a character, except for Fury. Yeah, so that was just getting to see Peggy again.
Oh yeah,
was fantastic. I'm gonna have to put like a text annotation in the video for when Hydra Man shows up, and I kept calling him Nathan Fillion through the entire movie, and it was not Nathan Fillion, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's watched any of my reactions with how bad I am with every face. With the amount of times my reaction, I've gone an entire episode thinking a character is one person and been completely wrong. But yeah, I'm gonna have to put like an annotation up when that first happens.
Yeah.
What else do I have about the that whole opening thing there? Okay, so SHIELD. We got more information now about SHIELD's founding and all that and how it goes, and especially now that season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is we're going into the whole council thing, which is right now only Weaver again, so we really need to get some more people in there. God, we gotta stop this. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really, I'm sorry about a tangent, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really becoming lost, in which they're just sending all their most important people out and they're all dying, so the whole goddamn council's dead. But okay, so S.H.I.E.L.D. So, originally, someone is running the SSR. Don't know who it is. Someone's running the SSR. Then, Howard Stark forms S.H.I.E.L.D.? Question mark? Don't know. Assumingly. Then, the SSR is dissolved and absorbed by S.H.I.E.L.D. Peggy is brought aboard as a leader. Because I don't know what that means exactly. I'm not sure if that... It definitely doesn't mean director, as we can see here. Which, I'm glad we finally got an answer for that. I've been talking about that for, like, forever. About, like, they called her Agent, like, Simmons called her Agent Carter, so she definitely wasn't director. They would have said ex-director Carter or something. Right, they, at some point after S.H.I.E.L.D. is formed, which I assume, again, is just Howard was who formed S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
That the council was formed with Peggy and then the Hydra guy. I don't know what his name is. I don't care what his name is. Oh shit! Wait, I meant to go back and check.
Oh?
I didn't check if he died or not in this movie.
Who?
Did he die?
Oh boy.
Yeah, you check that for a second,
Sure.
because I'm just gonna talk about this. But yeah, just load up the damn. Whatever. I was gonna say just load up the movie and check when he was in the helicopter there, the helicopter scene, at the very end when they were fighting. So a council is formed of Peggy, Howard, and this Hydra guy. And I don't think Hank was on the council. He was just a scientist. So I assume it's just this council of 3. So Hydra takes out Howard using Bucky. They get the Winter Soldier to take out Howard. Then Peggy gets too old, so then only the Hydra dude is left on the council. So I don't know why then he just didn't become director. Instead, the World Council is formed. No idea what happened to the fucking Hydra guy. And Pierce is given the Hydra role in World Council. Instead of the guy who was already on a council seat.
Right.
That's really weird.
Also, Hydra guy just got... Last time we see him, he had the briefcase with the pin particles and he ran away.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that he died.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I couldn't remember if he was in that helicopter that crashed. Oh, right, yeah, because no, he never got in the helicopter. He just grabbed the shit and ran out of the building.
Yeah, like he was still pulling ants off of him when he was running away.
Yeah. He never got in the helicopter. That's what I was... Yeah. Because I was trying to figure out how the fuck he would have gotten out of that helicopter and lived. Because, like, we didn't see him die, but how would he survive that? Okay, that explains it. But okay, yeah, so Pierce is given the role in the World Council, he's in Hydra, and then at some point Fury becomes the director. I don't know if it's before or after, so I'm just saying at some point he became the director. But yeah, so there's still somehow, and in a phase 2, still so much mystery around how S.H.I.E.L.D. was formed.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's like the biggest mystery in the MCU so far to me, is still just the specifics around how S.H.I.E.L.D. was formed. I need this mystery solved! Okay. Speaking of Hydra, Ward has been fucking busy. We know that there's very little Hydra people left, so you did show me what the like tattoo thing.
Oh,
of
yes.
Tin Rings. He didn't tell me what it was or anything like that, but he just like showed me a screenshot and just tried to see if I could figure out anything on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the guys did have a 10 rings tattoo, so it might be a thing. The last time we see Ward, they tell him, here's all the Hydra people we could find. It's a very tiny list. All the heads are dead. Ward is the only one left, and he's taking over now. But he tells them, you better know who's in charge. I'm fucking in charge, and go get me more people. I don't care if you're saying there's none left. You go get me more Hydra people. So that might mean that 10 rings and Hydra are combining now. Or, that they're lending Ward some people.
Right. People gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah. It's also crazy to me that Ward is ordering out this dude who has been around in S.H.I.E.L.D. since, the Howard Stark days. Since pre-Fury. And he's like, all right, Mr. Ward.
It seems like this guy isn't that big in the Hydra hierarchy.
No.
He had a big role in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
But especially the fact that he wasn't one of the councilmen. I think that was just because, Hydra knew, this guy probably can't handle that role.
Oh, yeah.
He's there now, but we're going to move someone else in.
I mean, he was so obviously Hydra. I don't know how I didn't... I was just like, oh, yeah, this is the Dick Shield guy that we gotta have. And even, when he's whispering, oh, yeah, I'll pay you a bunch of money for this if you... sell it to me early and I'll pay you a bunch more. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, that's S.H.I.E.L.D., all right.
Fair enough.
I just assumed it was, Fury again when he came back in on the helicopter and the music swells and you're supposed to be like, oh man, he was with Hydra actually, he's still around, and he's not with S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm just like, oh yeah, here's the evil S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. Why is the music swelling? Of course he's the evil S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. I already knew that.
I'm really glad that was your first reaction though.
But there's I know it's not, obviously this movie is Ant-Man. It's been around since 2003. There's no connection here, but the idea of Ward going after, sending this guy here. I mean, he's been involved with the Pym particle forever, but specifically getting back in contact with this guy to get the Pym particle to try and use it, because that would be an easy ass way to sneak inside S.H.I.E.L.D., and especially since this is Ward, he knows S.H.I.E.L.D. It would, infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. would be the best option. Infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. without being seen would be the best option for doing the most amount of damage, as opposed to just, going on a strike against them, taking a strike force against them or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, genius strategy, especially for what his goal is right now, which I assume is just kill Bobby. He doesn't seem to even, I don't think he gives a shit about taking down S.H.I.E.L.D. So this is probably really what he wants. Just give me some fucking Pym particle. I can get really small. I can, as a tiny little Ward man, crack Bobby's head.
I mean, even if he's still small, he's got the big Ward punches, so it's fine.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just picturing tiny little Ward on Bobby's back of her shoulder, just crack your neck. There's no way they could do that in a badass way. What else do I have on my notes? I'm just so happy that Evangeline Lilly's going to be an Avenger. I'm so happy it was not spoiled on that. I did not know she was in the MCU at all in any way. So glad. In Lost, I really like her actor, but Kate is not a great character. I think there's a lot of interesting things about Kate's character, but overall, as a whole package, it's a bad character. There's some episodes with flashbacks that are what make me love Evangeline Lilly. She is a really good actor, but she was just saddled with a really not well written character. So I'm very excited for her with a character that I actually like a lot more. It is so hard to get used to this wig. I cannot. There's even a specific episode of Lost where Kate wears a wig that looks almost exactly like this. So it's so fucking weird, but I'm getting used to it. Okay, let's talk about the whole Avengers end credit scenes, mid credit scenes, and all that.
Okay.
So, I mean, well, and also just the mid movie scenes.
I mean, I feel like that's just a scene.
Oh, no. We have to classify it as a mid movie scene.
Oh boy, the MCU's gonna have mid movie scenes now? In the middle of Doctor Strange, we just have, I don't know.
We just have Fury come on and say, you're part of the Avengers. Wait, not yet, after the movie. Yes. And then we keep going.
Act like this didn't happen.
It's gonna be the classic, it's not over yet. How are you liking it so far? But okay, so, yeah. Sam, we get to have more focus with him. Glad we got it. Made me really be like... The Avengers are really split down the middle of the ones that matter and the ones that don't. You know, there's a real clear divide by the ones that they're just being pitied for why they're here. Like, I do think that at some point we're going to have a talk about you guys are the fighters and you guys are mainly just support. Like, okay. Falcon. He doesn't need to fight. He just needs to be up in the sky with his weird goggles that I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing stuff that they can see Ant-Man and everything. Like, yeah, doing that aerial surveillance and all that. I thought that's what Hawkeye was going to be, like up in a plane, up in the air and stuff.
Okay.
Or, you know, like with the Quinjet specifically, they're so autopilot, he could be up in the air giving surveillance and then like shooting out the back as well.
Right.
But it seems like that's going to be Falcon's main job is aerial support. Yeah, just they need to. Hawkeye actually, he can be a fighter. He can take out a lot. Yeah. You know, I think Ultron really did a great job of showing me that Hawkeye deserves to be a top tier Avenger. I mean, he's not like powered or anything.
Sure.
But he deserves to be. He's not being pitied. Right. I mean, he was, but now he doesn't deserve to be. You know, he can take out a lot of people. Black Widow, Falcon, they can just, you guys. Black Widow, honestly, why is she here? Why is she here? We got Ant-Man now. Who needs her? Ultron showed us that she is shit without a huge corporation behind her. If she does not have the KGB, if she does not have S.H.I.E.L.D., she can't. Her espionage skills are worthless. So, you know, what's the point? We have Ant-Man who is way better at espionage now.
True. And
can also punch with the force of an ant. Like, well, a human that has the strength of an ant, but at the size of an ant.
Right.
I don't know how to describe that. They don't give a classification for how much strength you're given in the Ant-Man form.
I mean, there's the line where Hank mentions that, like, you basically still have the same strength as, you know, if you're, like, normal sized. It's the same strength, but you're just small. Like, it's not necessarily amplified.
Well, no, it should be, because Hope has the whole thing of, like, if you punch too hard, you'll kill them.
Right.
So how would that be possible if, you know... Yeah, that would not be possible if you have normal strength.
Right. I mean, I guess it's...
How are you punching through a helicopter?
You bring up a good
point.
Can
you punch through a helicopter? I don't think so, buddy.
It is enhanced. Okay, I'll let the helico this argument.
As I said, it's the idea of an ant can lift like certain times its weight. I don't remember what it is, but an ant can lift whatever times its weight. So they're saying if Scott could lift that much, put Scott on the level of an ant and the size of an ant.
Okay.
So it's a human punch amplified to if an ant was punching at normal speed times the lift weight. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I understand why they didn't try and classify it because it's really hard to explain. But I get what they're going for.
Okay.
Where were we? Yes. with the whole espionage and Ant-Man
Yeah, I mean,
and all that.
I think the main reason why they would have Black Widow is just they don't have Ant-Man yet. He's just a guy.
Yeah,
out there.
Yeah, sure, but at the same time,
Like,
she didn't do anything at all, John. I mean, like, leading up to, like, that was her main thing. Find where Strucker is. That's your job. You're the espionage girl. And you couldn't find Strucker. So, yeah. She's got to go to the Bahamas with fucking Hulk. Get out of here. We don't need you. The Hulk Banner can control Hulk, and they still don't let him use it. So, why have him either? If you're not using the Hulk when he can control it, he can.
He still needs a lullaby.
He needs a lullaby, but so? Are they too lazy to do the lullaby? It works. It's not like it's a hard, like, he's not out of control while they're doing the lullaby. He just doesn't know how to untransform, and the lullaby helps him do that.
Right.
So, if the whole, like, oh, is this a code green? It should always be a code green. You can control the Hulk. I get why he doesn't want to do it, because a lot of the times when he is the Hulk, he hasn't been in control.
Right.
But that would not be the case if he just was the Hulk more.
Okay.
The number of times where he is the Hulk and in control would outnumber the times he's been the Hulk and out of control if he would just be the Hulk more. But that's a whole nother talk for a whole nother movie.
The only way we're going to resolve the Black Widow thing is if we have Black Widow in one room, Ant-Man in another, and they say, okay, find this person.
I'm sure that Scott couldn't do as good of a job with, like, going through the minutia of, like, files or tracing stuff or whatever. But again, Black Widow's not better at it. I don't think he'd be able to do it better than she would, but that doesn't mean anything. It's still a net zero. And yeah, the Falcon, just the I don't have very much confidence in this guy. He's just a dude more so than anything else. He's just a guy here. Everybody else, I know I keep saying it, but he is just a guy in a suit. Tony's suit is at least good. This is not a good suit. He's a guy in a bad, not very good suit. He's gonna die. I'm so scared for him. Honestly, he should have stayed out of war. He should have retired for good. He should do the thing where he's finding Bucky. He's going out there doing that stuff. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I take it back. He doesn't need to be in the Battle of Sokovia. He doesn't need to be in any other Avenger movie. Every Avenger movie, let's just have it. Yes, Sam is back at home, safe, not in the middle of bullets and gunfire and Thanos punching people.
I thought you were going to say in every movie they should say that he's out finding Bucky.
No, but I mean, like, he should, we should delegate a lot of non-dangerous stuff or less dangerous stuff to the other Avengers. We should really start doing that because Quicksilver already died. We could, we got him and then he immediately died. Yeah. So, one of us died, we can now admit we should be being careful. The Falcon could take a bullet and die. Let's not have him just run out there with this shitty-ass suit. Tony, give him a suit! Give him better, I'm not even saying give him an Iron Man suit. Give him something to protect his body from bullets.
Okay, fine.
Like, I get why Black Widow doesn't have one. I get why Hawkeye does. I get why a lot of them don't have it. It's harder to fight with it. Why would Falcon? I mean, I guess because it's supposed to be lightweight and everything, but it's not a good suit. It's a bad suit.
Yeah, like I can see Tony reading some of that, like the briefcase suits where it is very lightweight. Just give him a little briefcase armor.
Yeah. Anything, chainmail, dude, something. Dude, I'm so worried he's gonna die. Like, especially because his whole character is the war veteran, dude. Like, right. I'm ready for Sam to die. He's so vulnerable.
When I saw the movie, the thing that bothered me the most was at the very end when he said, Cap can never know about this.
Yes. Okay. He was talking to Cap on the fucking phone, right?
No. Like when he was doing the communicator thing?
Yes.
That wasn't Cap.
Oh, who was that?
Like, that was just the base. Like, he's security for the base, and he was messaging, the other people at the base.
It sounded so much like Captain America to me. I don't know why I said it like that. Captain America, right?
I'll double check to make sure, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't talking to Cap.
But wait. Then what do you mean? What do you mean when he said at the end we can never tell Cap about this?
Like, the fact that he fought, you know, a guy who can shrink, who was clearly trying to rob the base, and then he says, like, basically the fact that he would put the fact that he's going to be humiliated over telling Cap, there's a guy who can shrink.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like, you know, it was weird as a writing thing, but no, you just meant like as
a person.
As a person, yeah.
Like, if in the next movie Cap starts getting hit by something and he can't see it and he dies, like, is Sam going to say, "Oh yeah, the small guy"? It's a good thing Cap didn't know about him. I would have felt real bad.
Yeah, that's a pretty, yeah. I mean, it's again what I always talk about with the secrets are not the best. Compartmentalization leads to Hydra. Yeah. I mean, also just like, how would you keep that a secret? What is he going to explain? Who attacked the base? And why there's something stolen? How would he explain that? Sam! Okay, right, okay, Cap, Bucky and Falcon at the end, there, talking about, we can't tell anybody about this either.
Right.
Because nobody would understand. Nobody would understand. The only thing when they're saying that, I assume they mean, nobody's gonna understand that, you know, Bucky's not a bad guy, that, you know, the Winter Soldier was just being manipulated and brainwashed into doing this sort of stuff, and that, you know, they're just going to want to do away with him and kill him and everything. But Hawkeye's been brainwashed. What else did I have? I had something, didn't I have something else written down? Banner as well.
Right.
That he was brainwashed by Scarlet Witch into doing the whole Hulk thing that he doesn't want to do. I mean, and just in general, the Hulk thing, you know, he understands that. I mean, that's a little bit different, but the Scarlet Witch thing is definitely more closer to Bucky's situation.
Right.
But, yeah, I feel like Banner and Hawkeye definitely both would fucking understand. Hawkeye especially, you know, he definitely would understand. His is the closest to the situation. He almost fucking destroyed the whole Earth. So, I call bullshit on that.
Okay.
You know, I call Avengers are once again, they felt like a team and now they're falling apart again. They're keeping these secrets with each other.
Right.
You know, they should be telling them all about Bucky. I get why someone, like, you know, don't tell Thor about Bucky, but Thor's not here. You know? Thor's like one of the only ones where I get, like, not telling Thor about certain stuff.
Right.
Thor's a very kind of, like, he's a very one-track kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's gonna be like, we have to destroy him or, you know, whatever, but, like, he's very... He doesn't listen, you know? He's not a democratic kind of guy. Whatever he wants, even if it's good or bad, he's just gonna do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get not telling him. He's not gonna listen. But yeah, as far as the other ones, it's like... And, yeah, having Falcon as the defense for the Avengers base didn't go so well, did it? I mean, the one time they're attacked and it doesn't... Why Falcon?
You can see the threats. You can see the threats.
But he can't do anything about the threats. And was nobody else at the base?
I mean, it was probably just, you know, like Selvig and Flesh Printer Girl. Like, you know, like, he might be the only Avenger at the base. Because they're all doing stuff.
Get somebody out there to handle it.
That's it. He's supposed to do it. They told him, Falcon, you gotta protect the Avengers base.
And this whole base has, like, no protection. And it's holding Howard Stark conventions.
It is pretty wild that, like, when he called it in, like, a bunch of random dudes with guns didn't show up.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have really helped, but, like, that's the bare minimum of, you know, like, they got security.
Yeah, they're trying to do something.
It's not the one dude.
It went on for so long, too. They're right outside.
I mean, what you didn't see is just Selvig looking out the window going, okay, he's doing good.
Going, what is he doing? Because I know he would see Ant-Man getting big again.
Yeah.
Which, I have no idea why Ant-Man fights that way. I have no idea what advantage there is to getting bigger during any of his fights.
I think it is just that Scott doesn't know how to fight like that, so it's like, how do I close the distance? Okay, I'll just become big so I can do the punch.
I guess, but he always becomes big and then just punches them big.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, where he's like small and he climbs up the dude and then becomes big on his shoulder,
right.
So he can like choke him out or not choke him out, but like throw him behind him or whatever.
Yeah.
Like why?
Like,
because at that point he could control his punches.
Right. It's
like I get it early on, sure, but at that point he could. See, I don't know why he fought that way. It's just dumb. Where am I in my notes here? Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you changed, Tony. I thought you changed.
Oh?
But is keeping Howard's inventions here at this building? Like, as we have seen in the MCU, Howard Stark has he's created nothing that has had a positive outcome on anything besides one single flying car, which is not acceptable. You can't have one flying car and say, I'm a good inventor.
I mean, he made Dark Reactor.
No, he didn't. It was shit. It was bad. it couldn't do anything. It was terrible until Tony made it mini. It could power all of Stark Industries, but so could a big ass generator.
True.
Like, it was clean energy at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, even as the big arc reactor, it's still clean energy.
Yeah.
Sure, but if it's only ever being used for Stark Industries, is that a good invention?
Like,
not really.
It does imply that, like, it wasn't good for scale. Like, you couldn't sell it to someone and say, this is going to give you clean energy forever, and have them go like, okay, but the price is worth it.
Yeah. Like,
something there was hinky.
I mean, it's fucking gigantic.
True.
But, I mean, like, yeah, even if it's like...
presumably they'd also have, like, a core that they'd have to swap out every once in a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Like, that was before the what was it, badassium?
Yes, or, as I said in the video game, vibranium.
There we go. Yeah. In the video games where they called it vibranium and had to immediately retcon it.
This was in the era of the Phase 1 video games, where they just kind of just came up with new canon. This is before they were like, oh yeah, these movies are all connected. We shouldn't just make up new crazy things in the video games.
Yeah, the arc reactor, like, I'll give them that. Okay, the arc reactor it was a stepping stone, though. Like, it's not...
Sure.
I mean, even the same way, the flying car, he made one successful flying car.
Right.
He had good ideas, but he wasn't able to follow through on them. The only stuff he was able to follow through on was the bad babies. And even his not bad babies don't seem to be that good.
Yeah, which I think does, like... you can see it lead into why Stark Industries became a weapons manufacturer.
Yeah, it's the only thing he could fucking do.
All the dangerous stuff did work. All the other inventions didn't work. Or they're too dangerous.
I mean, like, that is... Oh, man, it really is what it is. It's just... the only thing he can make is weapons. And even then, when he tries to make a weapon, he makes it so much worse by accident. Oh, my God, Howard... Tony, destroy that shit. I can't believe he made it at the Avengers warehouse. Shoot into the sun. I know the slingshot isn't real, but it should be. Slingshot that shit into the sun, Tony. Anything that has Howard's fingerprints on it should be shot into the sun.
He has Howard's fingerprints on him.
Who, Tony?
Yeah, Tony.
Does he?
I mean, presumably his dad touched him once.
I mean...
Ever?
I don't think if I touched you, my fingerprints are going to be on you.
I feel like that's the case.
I feel like his dad's been dead for a long time. Those fingerprints are going to wash off.
His dad made him, though.
Yeah, but it's not fingerprints.
There's DNA evidence.
Everything but Tony gets thrown into the sun. We also had the girl who is like a boss in the world of guerrilla journalism and has mad connects with the peeps behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
This girl is a Spider-Man character. I'm saying that as a statement because I'm so sure of it.
Okay.
I've never seen this one in my life. She feels like a Spider-Man character.
Okay.
I cannot explain it.
Mhm.
I think maybe it's just like the newspaper thingy, her youth. I don't know why Spider-Man has a lot of. I don't know why I feel like it has a lot of Asian, like young Asian characters.
Okay.
I don't know why that is in my mind
Mhm.
the case from like, playing Spider-Man video games a ton or
Okay.
stuff like that. I feel like I remembered a lot of that.
Young Asians.
I feel like I remembered a lot of young Asians.
Mm.
I feel like maybe I do. Maybe I am remembering, like a.
Maybe.
I don't know. But either way, she said, we got a guy who jumps, we got a guy who swings, we got a guy who crawls up walls. The guy who jumps, I don't know. Second one, Spider-Man, obviously. I don't know how the third one isn't also Spider-Man. I'm not sure what other person we have who crawls up walls that isn't Spider-Man. But yeah, so confirmation that Spider-Man is around at this time. He's making his debut probably right about now because he's not like the Avengers aren't getting in contact with him, but he is doing stuff.
Right.
Like I assume around now is when he got his powers, which is interesting. Like every other. Well, no, wait, have they brought up Spider-Man in another MCU movie already? I feel like they have.
I don't believe so. Like, what are you thinking of?
No. I'm thinking of Jasper Sitwell when he was listing off a bunch of people. He listed off something strange.
Yes.
Stephen Strange, I think it was.
Yes, that's correct. He did say that. It was on the list of like individuals that Project Insight had determined were threats to Hydra.
Yeah. Do you remember any other ones that he listed? I thought there was one more. I thought one was Spider-Man or something similar. I could be wrong, but I remember Stephen Strange, something else. Anyway, so guy who jumps. I can't think of anything in my mind that I know of, like a character from the comics who is like known for jumping or crawling up walls.
Okay, the list was a TV anchor in Cairo, the Undersecretary of Defense, a high school valedictorian in Iowa City, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange.
Bruce Banner was the other one.
Yeah, and then anyone who's a threat to Hydra.
Yeah, okay. Shit, what was the thing? Yeah, this girl, I assume is going to be the connect between the Avengers and all the other powers. You know, she's the Bennerich of aliveness.
Yeah. Living Bennerich.
She's the alive Bennerich, I assume. And that's not really what his character was. He wasn't the go-between. Right. But I imagine that's probably what they would have wanted to do with his character if they expected to get the rights to his character later, or to get the rights to Spider-Man later on. I mean, the fact that at this point they clearly have to have the rights to Spider-Man if they're saying that, right. I feel like this girl might be a Spider-Man character, and they're now like trying to be like, all right, now we know we have the rights to Spider-Man. Now we can actually do some Spider-Man shit. Don't have anything else to say about it, Yeah,
I think that's enough.
Yeah. Speaking of the Avengers, I loved that our Nick Fury coming to say, I want you to be a part of something bigger is just Scott saying like, and they asked for me, and then just saying, yes. Like the Nick Fury, you're part of something bigger is just Louis saying yes.
It's important because he didn't go on a tangent.
Yes. I love that so much.
I would vote for Luis as the next director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I would also, I want to see a scene that's similar to what we got in Ultron, where it's the big party and everything. Mm-hmm. You got the war vets, you got the politicians, you got the richity-rich uppity-ups, and then you've got Luis and the gang there.
I could see it.
I could totally see it. Because, I could see him, just being all, ghetto and stuff, and then turning to one of the high-class people to talk about one of the paintings on the wall.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Man, I can't say enough just how much they were crucial to my enjoyment of this movie, the gang. Mm-hmm. Everything, the whole system thing, they were so hilarious. And I'm glad that a lot of it was Luis's actor, bringing stuff to the table. That is nice. I think I'm pretty much through my. Oh no, Darren Cross.
Okay.
We didn't really talk about him. But it's because I actually like how little he was in the movie.
Okay.
A lot of his character was defined by the fact that what we know him as is not who he is. This stuff has been messing with his brain, and it's been changing him. And so all we know is this version of him, which I'm sure is pretty similar to the real version of him. But I always like that whenever, the only version of the character we see is not who that character actually is.
Right.
I love whenever a series can do that. I should say I have not seen the WHIH little extras before doing this discussion. I'm going to watch this after. But I do know that you said something about, like, oh yeah, it kind of felt like weird a bit because their personalities felt a little bit off in some ways.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if it was purposeful or not, but that could definitely fit for Darren there.
And I do think it's important that, like, when Hank lost faith in Darren, like when he was like, you were too much like me, it was before his head was being messed with.
Yeah, I mean that was years ago.
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's something about that I still like, that, like, he was bad news regardless. This made it worse, but it's not like this is the defining thing that made him a bad person, quote unquote, or, a threat.
And, like, I assume the thing of, like, I see myself in you, but worse. Not as in, like, I also would have bad intentions for this, but in terms of, like, innate curiosity and innate need to do.
Yeah.
Which, again, is, I think, going to be connected to Hank going into the quantum realm to try and get Janet back. He has this innate curiosity and innate need to do. But, yes, the Yellow Jacket did have a tight ass design.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. So cool. I do think him knowing what was going on the whole time was a dumb twist, and I didn't really like it.
Okay.
I would have much preferred if he didn't know. I think that's very, very rare that we ever get a villain like that, and I really liked him for that, and they had the twist, and I was like, oh, he's actually so much less interesting now.
Right, it's...
Like, it's just kind of he turned him from an interesting character to me into just a kind of generic-ish villain.
Yeah, I can understand that, especially because, like, if he didn't know what was going on, but he still acted the same way in the movie, you'd have the added benefit of, like, okay, so it's all improv, he didn't plan for this, but he's still, like, handling it really well.
Yeah, I think it could have made him a lot more competent.
Yeah.
Not knowing, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, his actor was great, though. I love his ugly face. Like, he does get across this, like, very childish, throwing a tantrum sort of vibe. Like, just where every time he gets so mad, he's like, just die! he looks so gross. Like, I don't want to say gross. He doesn't look gross. He just looks like, the ugliest you can try. Like, he's pushing up his chins.
Yeah.
He's scrunching his face. He's trying to make himself look stupid. Yeah, so props on that. What else? What are the rest of your notes?
We went through basically everything using your notes. The only thing that we really didn't touch, Yellow Jacket was mostly CG, Ant-Man was mostly practical. That was just mostly down to the arms on the back.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be weird if he was completely normal and then the arms were only CG. It just looks better if he's all CG.
I think it looked much better with him being all CG.
Yeah. I got, Thomas the Tank Engine. They had to ask for him, and the Thomas the Tank Engine people had 3 requests. One was, no tying someone to the track so Thomas might hit him. Thomas cannot be evil. And, in fact, like, in addition to Thomas not being evil, Thomas can neither be good nor evil. He has to be neutral. Which is why, in the movie, when Thomas smashes through the wall, like, it affects both people equally. Like, it just changes the dynamic of what's going on.
Yeah.
He doesn't help defeat Yellow Jacket because he's neutral.
Oh, I love that so specific. Oh. I guess because they don't, like, it is, I understand why. It is a very, like, we don't want you to think that you're doing something good with him.
Right.
We don't want whatever you think is good to be associated with us, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
We would rather be on the cautionary side. But I do will say about the Thomas the Tank Engine thing,
Mhm.
that's what I was talking about at the very beginning that we never got back into. Him getting bigger.
Right.
In the comic book it makes sense. In the movie, I was like, how are they going to explain it?
Mhm.
So I can't believe we're bookending this entire discussion with
Mhm.
it. But if he were to get bigger, his punches wouldn't get any stronger. Like,
Yeah.
it would just be a normal person punch. Or, I mean, sorry, rather, it should be weaker as he gets bigger. Because the reason they get smaller is because you're pushing the particles closer together. And the reason you would get bigger, assumingly, is moving the particles farther apart.
Right.
Which should also,
Mhm.
decrease density and decrease strength if it's, reversing it.
Hmm.
When he's getting bigger from
Right.
the small state,
Mhm.
that's what it has to be doing.
Right. It's.
So there wouldn't be a different than function to get bigger after that.
Mhm.
So the function of getting big
Mhm.
is just the reverse function of getting small.
Right. It's.
So thus, if he could ostensibly use it to just get bigger, but
Mhm.
there's no point. It would only make him physically weaker. It would
Right.
only make his punches weaker.
Mhm.
It would make him a bigger target.
Yeah.
There's no point to it.
Like, it could be useful in very specific situations, like, the classic getting a cat out of the tree.
Sure, yeah.
But, like, yeah.
In a fight, there's no reason to.
And especially in a situation like this where he's fighting Yellow Jacket, there's no real reason for him to get big.
Yeah.
Like, there's no advantage. It just means that when Yellow Jacket is normal sized, he can fight the way that a small person fighting a normal person would fight.
Yeah. The Thomas the Tank Engine thing, though.
Mhm.
When it gets bigger, when it busts through the room,
Yeah.
if it was weaker, you would assume it would take damage or something like that.
Right. It's,
But also knowing the legal reasons around that, I'm going to give that that's the reason why it didn't affect it at all.
yeah.
For legal reasons.
Yeah, it's remain neutral.
Thomas the Tank Engine had to remain neutral in all states.
The last thing I wanted to mention, which I don't think you're going to be happy about this.
Oh no.
So, as you know, all the Phase 2 movies...
Oh, is it the arm thing?
Yes.
Okay, continue to explain to them if they don't know.
Okay, so in every single Phase 2 movie, as a reference to The Empire Strikes Back, the second of the original
He's already
Star Wars
told me all this,
trilogy.
by the way.
Yeah. He did guess it, by the way. Like, by himself, then I confirmed it.
Yeah. Like, all you told me was that in Phase 2 they were doing something specific.
Yeah.
And then I think the hints you gave me were just like that. It's not always the main character. It's not like it's
Yeah.
not always one type of character.
Yeah.
It's just something happens to a character in each of the movies.
Mm-hmm. So it is a character has their arm cut off.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty consistent. Ant-Man was the wonky one.
If it's Anthony, they didn't accomplish their goal. It was not an arm, it was a wing. They could have had his arm come off, but they didn't. It was a wing.
It's not Anthony.
It's
But-
not Anthony.
It's not Anthony.
It was not Anthony. I have no idea who on earth it could be. And if it's
boy.
if it's his arm getting small, if it's that arm,
Oh, no. He didn't guess this before right now.
is it the arm?
It is the arm.
Yellow Jackets.
Yes, the Yellow Jacket's
Oh
arm. Like when
my.
it implodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Why, we gotta talk about the implosions as well. What is going on there? Okay, so we've gone back and looked at this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
They're not getting when they go in, when Ant-Man goes in Yellow Jacket's suit, he karate chops into bits.
Yes. And that's just rider physics.
Yeah, he gives it the rider chop. And then his suit implodes and then shrinks. Why does it implode? But like, I think, I guess this is not a plot hole or anything.
Sure.
This is not like I have a problem with this. It was just an argument that we were having for a while,
Yeah.
and I was curious into my things. I think I even said in my reaction, like, oh, was that nitramine or something? But it's not. So the explosion, the implosion, I think, is just implosions. Like, I don't think it's anything
Yeah.
specific. I think it's just like a cool effect they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like, I haven't really seen a nitramine explosion, but I guess it's also possible.
well, no, because the nitramine pulls everything together. Like, it wouldn't make the matter stop existing or get to the point where, like, maybe it is. Like, it's crushing it, like, it's doing the normal nitramine thing,
Yeah.
and then it's shrinking down till you can't see it.
Yeah, because we see the implosions, and then we also, but I don't think it's the same thing. We do also see the traditional shrinking effects with the outlines.
The no regulator shrinking.
And at the very end, like when he gets super small, it's not like Janet's where he just goes in and disappears. Like he gets real small, and you see a pop and like sparks.
Yeah, like he explodes.
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of, the regulator was causing him to super shrink, but also he was exploding and imploding.
Yeah. Also, it would be really fucking weird if he just had nitramine in the suit for some fucking... It's only a bomb, so I don't know why he would. Like, the building, I thought, was one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it happened later with the suit, that's when it's like, why would he have nitramine in his fucking suit?
The Yellow Jacket's powered by bombs. I don't know.
But, no, I think it is just that the suit imploded, the building imploded, because it did, and then it also shrank to infinity and beyond. The whole quantum realm stuff, the visual effects, they were really dope.
Yeah.
Like, I will say that. As much as I was like, was this needed? But, yeah.
When he was hearing his daughter's voice, did you think that was, like, the actual sound, or do you think it was more of, like, an emotional thing, or just him remembering
I was like, in the moment, but I was taking it as just after the initial like, what's happening here? Is the sound? It's not. I landed on it just being, okay. That was in his heart, like the thing that was keeping him, wanting to try and do something about it. I guess Jan just went, I guess I'm fucked and I'll never try anything. Or I mean, maybe she didn't have the things at the time.
Yeah, she definitely didn't. Because during the whole training thing, they specifically mention, Hank specifically mentions, Ant-Man does not have weapons, so I've made these for you. And then he gives them the shurikens that grow and shrink things.
Okay, okay.
That was completely new.
Okay, so she did not have those at the time. So, yeah then she definitely couldn't have done that then.
Yeah, it was just the regulars busted.
Yeah.
Guess I'm done. Initially, I thought it was due to the themes of familial connection in the movie, I thought that maybe it was like he was able to regain consciousness and do the flip and everything because his daughter's love was calling out to him. The problem being, that would imply that Hank's love for Janet was very weak.
Yeah.
And Janet was like, if only someone was calling for me, no one cares. I'm gonna die. Quantum realm, here I come.
Also, it is a really good thing that it just didn't start getting bigger for Infinity.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
That was a
we'll
lucky
see.
Do you have anything to say about the post-credit scene, or the final mid-credit scene?
The final mid-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Was it on Bucky and Cap? I mean,
or
or
I might have flipped them around. I'm thinking of
the Thanos scene, right?
The Thanos scene?
No, that was in the previous movie. I thought
movie.
I was like, did that happen in this movie? But no, what else? What are you talking about?
It's when Hank shows when he shows Hope the other suits.
Oh, I mean, I guess I was just implying that when I was talking about I'm very excited that she's going to be an Avenger.
Okay.
I mean, I guessed that from the moment we saw that his mom that her mom had the suit.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, there you go. But yeah.
I guess it's also that he has more faith in the technology. The main reason he brought in Scott was because he is expendable to some extent.
Yeah.
Now he's finally like, you know what? I'm okay with letting you, use the suit now. You're not gonna just die immediately.
Which also, again, just goes to show that, you kept it all the secret, and then immediately you're like, you know what? You can wear the suit now.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole fucking movie, and you know what? I was an idiot. You can wear the suit.
I mean, I think it's Hank being Hank. In the same way that he was like, oh, this guy has a wife and kids. I'm gonna have him go on this death mission.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Oh, yeah, he's I think I don't know. I still think he's one of the best people in the universe. It's such a weird way to say that because it sounds so incredible when I'm saying it.
Right.
But what I mean is the MCU.
Yeah.
When I say the universe, it sounds so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds crazy to say it that way. But I mean, I have been interested.
I think you're right. It's a universe full of flawed people.
Yeah. Whereas, he's plenty flawed too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But in terms of, altruism and stuff, like
Mhm.
I do think that he's one of the most altruistic, I guess I should say,
Right.
is what I mean. I don't think he's a good person, but I definitely think he's one of the most altruistic.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. What do you have there with the number?
That Scott Lang came out in 1979.
No, I was talking about that, but what does that mean? Why did you write that down for? What does that mean?
I had a reason, but I don't remember it now. Whatever.
Okay.
I also wrote down the movie is all about passing the torch, which I think is pretty apparent with the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I did. I meant to say that too, like the whole the writer influence. I felt such big Kataragi vibes. No, Katsuragi vibes. With the when we got to see him in the Ant-Man suit. Like, I'm actually glad that it was so barely. If he got him in the suit more than that, I don't think it would have been as cool.
Okay.
I think getting to see him just briefly, in the suit, in the when we see him on like the security footage stuff, and then when we see him on the missile, just those two scenes were like all we needed.
Yeah.
I think it would ruin it. Like I'm honestly not a big fan of that. Like oh, this old guy used to be super good at like it's usually a hero thing too. Like this guy used to be a super good hero, and like, oh, now you get to go see them in their prime. It's like, I honestly don't want to see him in their prime.
Right.
I like imagining it. So yeah, I like that about Hank.
And my final note is just that Anthony's designation 247 is a reference to when Hank Pym debuted. He was in Tales to Astonish Volume 1, 27, and when Scott Lang debuted, he was in Marvel Premiere 47.
Okay.
So it's a combination of Tales to Astonish 27 and Marvel Premiere 47.
Interesting. By the way, if you guys are interested, join the Discord. I'm going to be doing like reactions to characters' first appearance in comics. I'm going to be doing Vision, and I'm going to be not the Vision that is currently Vision in the comics, but the very original Vision in the Golden Age, Arcus. So it's going to be very, very different from the Vision even in the MCU. Like, the whole point is going back as far as possible to make it as different and as, like,
non-spoilery.
Yeah, and, just the original where the character's from. But yeah, so...
it's a really cool project. I'm genuinely really hyped for it.
Yes, I'm not going to be putting them out on YouTube. It's just going to be for a Discord thing for the comics channel. I'm going to be putting out other comic stuff on YouTube, but the reactions are going to be Discord exclusive. So if you're interested in them, come on the Discord, do all that. But yeah, in the Silver Age, I've read almost nothing of the Silver Age, and I'm kind of doing a little stop right now. I'm going to just read almost most of the entire Golden Age, and people are going to call me crazy, but I've been enjoying it. I honestly love the Golden Age more than... I've had a whole thing of, Donut hates comics thing, but it's really because the only comics that I've read here or there have been modern comics, and I actually really enjoyed the Golden Age more. Mainly because of the art. I like the more simplistic style. But yes, Tales of Astonish. There was two of them that were like both in the synopsis, like briefly as I glanced over them, they were about some guy that was, size changing. I'm like, okay, that's probably Ant-Man. I got through the first one. I was like, okay, that was probably Ant-Man. I think it was like, the man in the anthill or something. And so I was like, okay, that's Ant-Man. So then there was like two more later, there was another one. There was also another shrinking one with somebody with another name. So I was like, that's why I was also like, I have no idea what the main character's name is of this movie. I've seen like 3 different names for, who could be the main character. But so that's interesting that Hank Pym was introduced first as Ant-Man, and then Scott. Like, do you know when Marvel Premiere came out then?
1979. That's why I wrote down Scott Lang, 1979.
Okay.
Like, that was his debut. It was way after
Damn, yeah. Because the Tales of Astonish one came out around 1961.
I believe so.
I mean, it was 100% 1961.
1962.
Fuck, January 1962. Damn it!
Your comic nerder, he was destroyed?
No! Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, I think we covered basically everything.
Yeah. That's it. We will see you guys in the next one. Until then, get the fuck out of here. Oh wait, do you want to do a you always do your what's what do I think is going to happen next?
Oh, right.
I hate it, but I know you want to do it.
We moved so smoothly. Okay, so first one, I will acquiesce to what you want, which is what is going to happen in Captain America: Civil War.
I mean, oh boy, that's a big one coming. Last time, I think I said Captain America's traveling back in time and gonna fight the Civil War again. I think that was what I said last time.
Civil War is one of the ones I've heard you talk about it the most because you've heard the term Civil War.
What do you mean?
Like,
oh, you mean just in real life, not like in the shows or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the real life term Civil War.
Like before you started the project,
yeah,
you'd heard something about Captain America: Civil War, and you were like, "What? What?
I mean,
what does that mean?"
Always from the time when the movie first came out, I went, what the fuck are they? What?" Yeah. So now I assume it's a powered versus how do I put it? A whole thing of, I think it'd be more of a like human, like the world at whole, humans versus powered people.
Okay.
Not as a fight, but as a that's gonna be the as the world is starting to get used to people in the world, not just the Avengers.
So I guess like a lot of the other things so far have been like small scale human versus human things, or like the big scale things have been humans versus aliens or humans versus robots, Ultron.
Like I'm not expecting a
like it's not going to be a big thing.
I'm not expecting it to be a fight.
Okay.
I'm expecting it to be a debate thing, riots and stuff.
Okay, like more of a political thing, perhaps.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's gonna be a villain, but I think the villain is going. I can't imagine the Avengers just going around beating up a bunch of random people that are just anti-powered people. Like they beat up armies
of people that have powers.
No, I mean they'll beat up armies of human people, but it's still like an army.
Well, yeah,
true. It's not just like some random Dick and Harry who grabbed a broom and is going to try and beat Iron Man's ass. Which again, I don't think it's going to be the Avengers. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be humanity. I don't know though, because we've already seen that in S.H.I.E.L.D. where some people do have a problem with some of the Avengers.
Right.
Very little people. It seems to be a very small subset of people that have a problem. I mean, and it's the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
When I say they have a problem with the Avengers, I mean they have a problem with the Hulk.
I mean, I'd say a lot of people also have a problem with Stark. Like, not with Iron Man specifically, but, with Stark Industries.
I would say they used to. Does anybody still?
I mean, Sokovia. Like, Wanda and Pietro. Very mad at Stark, specifically.
Yes, but that was because they were uninformed. Like, they didn't really, they didn't know what direction the company was taking now. They see a missile by Stark Industries and they think that Stark Industries is selling that missile.
Okay.
Well, I guess that would have been at the time that he was, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
their hatred for him now still, they've been in a jail cell for so many fucking years. They don't know what...
They haven't cut off.
Yeah.
And Hydra's not going to tell them, by the way, Tony's doing good stuff.
By the way, Tony's really cool now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Sokovia in general, again, even now, they're probably still seeing plenty of missiles going back and forth because there's two countries that were fighting in between them. So they're just getting caught in the middle of it. So yeah, most people aren't going to be as well informed enough to know that Stark Industries is not an arms dealer when the vast majority of the time they've been around has been an arms dealer.
Yeah, like you make missiles. People buy 1,000 missiles from you. They don't use all of them all at once. They're going to have them for a while.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different. There's the people that are up against Tony are not up against him because he's an Avenger. Right. One. And like because he's not powered, two, because he's not an Avenger, and three, because they're misinformed. Okay. Like it's a big trifecta of I don't think they'd be coming after him for a Civil War type of reason. But for the other for like Thor is gonna be a big old part of that one. Like Thor in Asgard is gone. He's gonna come back to just the world saying we don't want no aliens, which I don't blame him. As far as the aliens thing, I always feel like I have to make a big distinction between powered people and aliens. I think there should be a big distinction between the two.
What if Thor comes back and says, "I'm not an alien, I'm God," like Loki? You remember Loki, guys? You like Loki?
But he's not a god.
He calls himself a god.
Does he still call himself a god?
I don't know if he called himself a god in Age of Ultron.
Right, I think he's... Why would he call himself a... Do they call themselves gods, actually?
The Asgardians do call themselves gods.
like I remember the humans in it, but I couldn't remember seeing where they themselves did. But that's fucking nuts. What is God? The Asgardians are so weird. Every time we see the Asgardians, Thor, Loki, dope. All the other Asgardians, God, they're terrible. They're bad race.
Oh no,
bad race. But no, like they're just like, yeah, I'm joking, but you know what I mean. They're fucking. They call themselves gods. That's such a power trip. Like that says something about your whole culture.
Okay, so we've got that down. There's nothing else I really want to say about Civil War, so I will say, what do you think Ant-Man and the Wasp could be about? Like, you've already brought up the idea of them going subatomic again.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that. I think that's going to be honestly more of an off-screen thing.
Okay.
But I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually going to be pretty disconnected from the rest of the stuff. I feel like. I know that there's an after credits scene that like takes place during Infinity, like, or after Infinity War and Endgame, but the majority of it takes place chronologically before it.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that meta knowledge, I'm assuming that it's going to be kind of like standalone-ish.
Okay.
But to be fair, it seems like from how much everybody's just been saying, like, oh, well, you can watch this movie here, you can watch that movie. I'm assuming that almost every movie in Phase 3, except for Civil War, is pretty, like, it does.
Okay.
Thematically, it would matter where you watch it, but which is why I'm watching them in release order. Right. But chronologically, they're not that, like, as Phase 1 and 2 are related.
Okay.
Except for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
It still feels so weird the Guardians of the Galaxy is a part of the MCU, and it's just like it's out there. It's happening over there. So, yeah. That's it.
All right.
See you guys for the next one. Till then, join the Discord. Check out some other stuff. We got Jessica Jones coming soon, baby. Check that out. Until next time, get the fuck out of here.